crazy doggy eyes. I got this beautiful present this morning from Nancy Grant in Canada, along with a lovely card. This is a beautiful card. And it's an absolutely gorgeous present, and I'm very, very touched by it, because it's not just a present, it belonged to Nancy's mother. So I'm just going to unwrap this. Okay, so first of all, I'll read the little note. Colette. My mother wore this beautiful brooch for many years. I pass it to you now. Mum was a devoted gardener and would have loved Bealtaine Cottage. Amber and silver of the best quality from the Baltic, and very fitting for a goddess since time immemorial, as you know. Well, this is a very, very personal gift, because Nancy has sent me this, and this of course belonged to her mother, and it is absolutely beautiful. Look at this. I'll just put it down here so you can see. Isn't that gorgeous? It's very, very special. Thank you, Nancy. I will wear it and I will think of your mother. And it would be nice to have your mother's name. I don't think it's on here, but just your mother's first name. Because what I'd like to do is to get a little stone, because I pick up lots of little round stones on the beach. So to get a little stone and just paint your mother's name on it and put it up somewhere around the stone circle, which is where we're going to go now, by the way. Because although it's rainy and windy outside, it's actually a beautiful day. It's very fresh. So I'd like to bring your mother to Bealtaine via a little stone with her name on it. And of course, I shall wear this beautiful brooch. It's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much. I just feel so very blessed. It's just beautiful. It's just so very beautiful. Thank you, Nancy, and bless you. Bless you for your kindness and your generosity and your thoughtfulness. And your funny card. The dog with the specs on, I love that. So, just going to go out. What I'll do is just keep this camera pointed down. And
you keep any more?
Sorry, Nick? I'm just going to make a video. So, it's raining, as you can hear. And, woo! I'm keeping the camera pointed down because I don't want to get the lens wet. You can see I've got some sheets out in the line there. Because even though it's rainy, it's lovely and blowy. So they should dry well. And if you look, you can actually see sunshine through the rain. Isn't that amazing? And did I just see a bee? So we just walk along here. Look how how does he know that we're going to the stone circle? Look at all these beautiful leaves, aren't they gorgeous? You know, well, you all know that over the past 13 years this land has been planted out. Everything you see has been planted by me. And it's so natural now. It does look as though it's been here forever. But I could never go back to that formal style of gardening where everything was so controlled. Because within this style of gardening, you're not actually a gardener. You're just an earth lover. Jack's saying, "What are you doing down there?" Here I come. Take my glasses off and then I can see where I'm going. I've been up here with the mower yesterday. I got the mower out of the shed and I just mowed the paths. And then I took it here to the stone circle and did a little bit of mowing in the stone circle. Wow, look at this beautiful leaf. Wow, isn't that gorgeous? And this is just from the common sycamore. Isn't that beautiful? So here we are in the stone circle, and I've noticed that there's a lot of new subscribers to Bealtaine Cottage on YouTube. So what I thought I'd do today is just talk a little bit about Jack and myself and Sammy Bear and Beauty, and give you a little potted history. I'm just talking of Jack. Jack? Oh, there you are. So first of all, Jack was 10 months old when I got him, and he came from the Leitrim Animal Welfare. And he had been found abandoned, and he was suffering with depression, according to Christine, who runs the Leitrim Animal Welfare, because he hadn't eaten for, well, it was over a week. I think it was about 10 days or something that he hadn't eaten properly. And when I went to the shelter, it was easy enough to choose a dog because he was quite odd in that he was sitting with his back to everybody up in the corner of the pen, and he wouldn't communicate, he wouldn't engage. Whereas all the other dogs, of course, were frantically barking and trying to get my attention. Jack! Come on! So Christine was reluctant to hand him over to me because she was concerned that he hadn't been eating, you see. So I said, well, look at Christine, if he doesn't eat for me, then I'll bring him back. Because I think there was already quite a bit of engagement with the shelter's veterinary doctor regarding Jack. Jack at the time was called Dexter. Maybe that's why he was depressed. I don't know. But I said, "Now, hang on, Jack. You ain't wearing no cowboy hat round here." So there'd be no Dexter. So I called him Jack. I just thought Jack suited him. So there was a little bit of a problem with him initially because he did actually bite my daughter, and it was quite a bad bite. But I'm so proud of my daughter because she forgave him, even though she had to have surgery. You know, I mean, it was a bad bite. Anyway, we've put all that behind us. I'm very proud of my children for being so loving and caring and compassionate as they are. We talked about it, you know, weeks and months later, and of course began to understand that Jack had some real issues around food, because at the time when he, you know, bit her, she was coming up behind him as he was eating. And I personally think that Jack had been tortured with food. I believe that whoever had him had, you know, given him food and then taken it away, and then maybe not fed him, and then, you know how some cruel people can be. Fortunately, there are more kind people on this beautiful earth than there are cruel people. But we all know the damage that cruel people can inflict. Not just on animals, but on their own souls. Anyway, so that was his little story to begin with. And do you know, when I went when I went up there, I had no intention of getting a big dog. I had no intention of getting a sheepdog. I just wanted a little thing, you know. But there you go. Sometimes we're just, in fact, all the time, there is a greater force at work. Of course there is. Of course there is. So where would I be without darling Jack today? I don't know. I think I'd be much less a person than what I am. So I just feel very blessed by Jack. And he's a wonderful companion. And we all understand him now. And so when it comes to food and water, he has a bowl of food and a bowl of water, and it never goes empty. And if it does go empty, by accident, Jack comes to me and stands in front of me and stares at me with such a concerned look in his little face that I know instantly what the problem is, and I go and I rectify it. So that's the story of Jack. My darling Jack. Yes, lovely boy. So then there's the story of Sammy Bear. Well, Sammy Bear was found as a kitten. One of my grandsons found him and brought him to me. And again, I just felt very blessed because he's a gorgeous boy and he adores Jack. And Jack gets very bewildered by him. Now, there is actually a video on this channel. And I think it's called Sammy Bear and Jack Go for a Walk or something like that. But it was in the very early days when I first got Jack, and I used to keep him on a lead, you know, because I wasn't sure about him, and, you know, trying to keep him safe, etc. And Sammy Bear just fell head over heels in love with him. And it's so funny, of course, because it's not just a little bromance, it's cross species too. So it's kind of trans-species bromance. How's that? You see, life is very interesting, isn't it? So he still adores Jack. And he'll go up and he'll go right into Jack's face and he will meow right up into Jack's face. It's so funny. So, and of course the other little fur baby I have is Beauty. And Beauty, wow, very, very strange how I came by Beauty. I was driving along with my daughter one day and we got to a part in the road where there was no houses, there was no habitation anywhere, and sitting on the side of the road was Beauty. And she was sitting there looking to her right, looking to her left, and waiting. She was waiting. And I stopped the car. I said to Cara, just go and see if that cat's all right. I said, this is a strange place for a little kitten, you know, to be. She says, Mum, looks as though the cat's been dumped. I said, well, just go over and see. Anyway, Cara went over. Little Beauty came towards her, allowed Cara to pick her up. Cara came back to the car, hopped in the front, Beauty on her lap, and I drove home. And that was that. And afterwards, it was very strange because I looked at this little kitten and I said to Cara, she reminds me of my mother. What is it about her that reminds me of my mother? And Cara said, yes, it's strange really. You know, there's something about her energy, her aura. And I thought afterwards, do you know, when I was driving on the road, just milliseconds before I saw her, and I know this is going to sound strange and weird, but there we go. Bealtaine Cottage is a strange and weird place. Everything's very strange and weird here. It just looked for a moment as though, like a millisecond, it looked as though something opened and the cat was just posted in. Well, all I can say is, always keep your heart open. And when you lose a beloved pet, and I know the heartache and the pain that can be inflicted upon a human soul by the loss of a pet. But don't close the door of your heart. Keep it open. Keep it open, because when you keep the door of your heart open, amazing things happen. And talking about heart, this little plant should not be flowering. What's it called? So the common name is bleeding heart. Isn't that funny? Me talking about keeping the door of your heart open. I passed this plant yesterday, there was no flowers on it. In fact, I dumped this little pot in here because it looked as though it had died in the spring. It's called bleeding heart. Is it called Dicentra spectabilis or something? Look at that. And there you go. There's a sign. My grandmother always said, Colette, as you go through life, look for the signs. The signs are there all the way through your journey. There we go. So keep your heart open and amazing things will happen. Don't ever be frightened of getting hurt. You know, because hurt doesn't last long. You don't really remember hurt at the end of the day. You remember all the love. Don't you, Jack? Jack loves this wee part of the garden here because he's able to kind of hear the cars on the road, and it's a sheltered little spot. Look how sheltered it all is here. The beautiful ash trees and the thorn trees. It's rather beautiful. So again, for all the newcomers to the channel, and welcome, you're all very welcome. I came here 13 years ago. Most of my family thought I had gone loopy-loo, that I was having some kind of a breakdown. Because I bought the most derelict looking, bereft looking old cottage on 3 acres of what was the most appallingly bereft looking land, and said I was going to turn it into the Garden of Eden. I know when my children are worried about me, because instead of saying mum, they say mother. All you mums out there know this. When they say mother, it's usually, I'm very concerned about you. Anyway, they're not so concerned now. They know that everything is possible. That's the wonderful message, you see, from Bealtaine. Everything is possible. Everything. There is no such thing as not being able to do something, or not being able to change things, or not being able to turn things around. This beautiful earth is what we make of it. And I've always agreed with James Lovelock. Gaia is a living, sentient being, an intelligence, a massive intelligence. We are only beginning to lift the veil on her. We're only beginning to understand what this incredible place is all about. So I started off planting. I've planted over 1,000 trees. I've planted thousands of shrubs. I started with permaculture. It evolved fairly quickly to goddess permaculture. I started writing about goddess permaculture a few years ago on the website. I wrote my first book, and it was published in April of this year. It was recognised by the Irish government in terms of the Irish revenue, and I've been granted artist status by the Irish government, and therefore writer status. So in terms of tax, I have quite a generous tax allowance for any books that I may write, including my first one, which is A Cottage and 3 Acres. And A Cottage and 3 Acres details my story from the beginning. So there we go. That's a little synopsis of Bealtaine Cottage. Bless you all, and bless you, Nancy. And if you're watching this, Nancy, can you leave your mother's name either in the comments underneath or email me? Thank you for supporting Bealtaine Cottage, and thank you especially for supporting Bealtaine Cottage through the purchase of the book, the map, the magical mythical map, or a donation, and all the links are underneath. Bless you all. Bye.